How are you? And where are you based, Loic?
I am based very close to Mississauga. I think I
Ah,
actually went by Arundel Academy once. I live in Richmond Hill.
okay, that's really close. And yeah, we're in Mississauga, Ontario right now. That's where we're broadcasting from. And you're standing up, so I think
Yeah,
we should be ready for something quite dynamic. Go ahead.
thank you. I hope so. So, hi everyone. Again, I am Loic, and I hope everyone's doing well. I just want to apologize in advance if my voice sounds a bit stuffy because I am quite sick. Anyways, moving on. Um, Fellow participants, judges, and directors. Today, I'll be talking about sushi restaurant slogans. So I'll be starting my speech in three, two, one. You know how sometimes it feels like people speak in the same exact standardized way, especially in a professional or academic setting. People tend to use the same, somewhat professional, somewhat generic vocabulary to set up their points. Yet it lacks a certain personal, unique touch. I like to call this communicative conformity, and I believe artificial intelligence is doing the same for our thinking. Artificial intelligence, I'm talking AI chatbots, can rearrange information, analyze, and condense it for you. Yet it cannot creatively generate a new and original idea. We can. Fortunately, we don't think of this. We'll input a prompt and expect it to come up with the right idea. However, the more we do this, the more we invite artificial intelligence to shape our thinking, forsaking our ability to direct our own thoughts. So we rely on AI. What does AI rely on? AI relies on text from the internet. So this made me wonder, will AI produce the same answers for people who ask the same questions? So I conducted an experiment. Across two separate devices, I inputted into ChatGPT the prompt, write me a paragraph on how to cut a dog's toenails. The paragraphs I received back were nearly identical in sentence structure and phrasing, with the exception of a few word substitutes. Now, of course, there aren't too many ways to cut a dog's toenails, so I asked another question. Give me 10 slogan ideas for sushi restaurants. Now, this was more interesting. Now, there were different answers, yet there was still a lot of overlap with similar words. And across all the devices, they all contained the identical slogan, savor the art of sushi. Appealing? Maybe. A reflection of AI's limitations? Definitely. This experiment has a key issue. AI like ChatGPT is highly algorithmic. Moreover, it doesn't just provide you with answers, it explains to you the reasoning behind them too. By repeatedly generating the same answers, identical responses, and exposing us to its logic, it is the ability to mold a standardized way of thinking among its users. This
Loic,
poses
Loic, it's Phil here. Can I just pause you for a moment? We've lost your camera. We've lost your camera.
oh,
Would you double check, please?
Voice has been fine so far. Just the camera went
Yeah,
off.
the voice is fine. We can hear you, but we cannot see you. We've lost the camera view.
okay, that's perfect. Is it cool
And
if I
you're
just rejoin the meeting and then I believe this happened last time as well. Can I just rejoin the meeting and then I'll start?
yes, yes. I'm getting the nod. You can do that. Thank you. We'll wait here for a moment while you do that. Uh, well, while we're waiting, I just want to remind everybody, because I received a chat question here, we will be awarding prize winners in this presentation. So everybody stay tuned. Okay, you won't have to wait to find out if you've been awarded a prize. That will be calculated in this session that we're having today.
Hi, I'm back.
I think so. Yeah, there you go. Hello.
All right, perfect. It's just funny because it all goes well until I gotta present
Yeah.
and then it just
All
goes
right.
black.
Yeah, we could hear you very well. That's fine.
All right, would you like me to restart or do you want me to start from where I ended?
What do our judges feel? Leon,
No, just keep going.
no, carry on, they say.
Carry on. Okay, I'll start from the most recent. All right. So this experiment has a key issue. AI like ChatGPT is highly algorithmic. Moreover, it doesn't just provide us with answers, it explains the reason behind them as well. By repeatedly generating nearly identical responses and exposing us to its logic, it is the ability to mold a standardized way of thinking among its users. This poses a risk because simultaneously, we're exercising our critical thinking less and less, in a sense, offloading our limbic systems, making us more vulnerable to this intellectual conformity. And the worst part of all this is, it's not even like the information ChatGPT provides us is the most unique or groundbreaking answers out there. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Instead, it's the most common answers on the internet. In other words, shallow answers, answers which lack depth or are in some cases quite obvious, but answer most questions and deter us away from doing any further research. Over time, this makes us more accustomed to this shallow level of thought, and in turn makes us produce more shallow answers. A long-term impact is how this poses a threat to innovation. When our capacity to discover and think are suppressed, our current levels of innovation will become unsustainable and gradually decline. And as this cycle continues, deteriorating the quality of our ideas, conformity comes in, a sort of standardized way of thinking, just like the communication conformity I brought up in my introduction. Individual creativity become less sustained. Although it sounds quite dystopian, I believe a decade more of youth using AI as their number one source of information will lead the world to see less and less unique individual expression. Ideas one comes up with, maybe ideas thousands of others have already come up with, because of just how similar individual thought processes and reasoning has become. And this is all due to the fact that no matter how many sushi restaurant slogans AI can come up with, there will always be an overlap with the same ones constantly in the mix. Artificial intelligence will make unique individual creativity and thought unsustainable in the modern world because it is slowly and discreetly wiping it out. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Loic, for reminding us that AI is able to sustain us, but that we must acknowledge the dangers that the power it has over us, and we must maintain that control. Never hand it out, hand it away. So, Professor Shao, do you have a question for Loic?
Yes, he mentioned lots of problems, questions maybe for this AI we're using. And it seems like, okay, we at the very beginning, we all trust the AI and generate a very beautiful format and standard answer, and lots of knowledge is beyond our selves learning process. So, but eventually, I mean, there are lots of concern about this kind of standardized generated the content. So, what is your solution? I mean, to solve this problem? I mean, you ever think about this?
Thank you very much for that question. So yeah, I completely agree with you. Like when it first came out, whenever I used it, I was always very impressed by just how like organized the answers were. But then when I was writing this speech, I began to realize the organization is covering up for something much worse, which is how it is able to mold like a standardized way of thinking. So I think the solution to fix this, well, the most basic solution is to use it less. I believe a lot of teachers in our schools, they know about ChatGPT and they'll tell us, don't use it don't copy and paste its answers. Don't make it write you the whole essay, but use its ideas. But honestly, I think that's quite the opposite. I believe it's a lot more beneficial to you or safer to copy and paste its answers rather than taking ideas from it. Because my whole speech, again, is about how the ideas are all very shallow and they're all very similar, right? So I guess we could try to use it for more, it's teaching you skills, like how to write, how to cook, right? It can help you do that, but don't use its ideas, or don't take its ideas completely, maybe add on to it. So I think this goes into how we need to have the mindset of, oh, I am unique. I have my own thoughts and other people have their own thoughts, right? We're all unique. And although AI can help us start these ideas, it can help us brainstorm, it cannot give us the final concluding idea. So in the brainstorming process, I think the best way to avoid the standardization is really by whenever you're using ChatGPT, have the mindset of, okay, we're going to use this safely. So I can read this idea, But then at the same time, I have to know that my idea also is more important or is more unique. And that's why at the end of the day, it will be the better idea because it's not similar to everyone else's.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for the question and answer. Next question will be coming from George Vandiker, but let me just say I'm also of George of the pen and ink generation. So for many, many decades, we have seen so many changes in the classroom as teachers. You as a science educator, of course, I think we'll probably have some pointed question to ask.
That's right.
Loic?
Well, Loic, so excuse me, I also have a cold. Loic, you'll be pleased to know I ran your essay through a checker, and yours came out as 100% human. So
I'm glad.
I don't know how you did that, but that's very good. And my question was much the same as the one before, but because I wondered about this a lot myself, that like will the repeated iteration of a question like converge to a single right solution? You know, eventually the same question will always be answered in the same way. And that can be used politically, it can be used academically, and it can be used in many ways. Do you know of any attempts to avoid this? Any technological attempts to avoid this? We used to talk a lot about fuzzy thinking in the area of computer technology.
Any attempts technologically? See, the thing is, I feel like it's still far too early. Like all of these problems are like beginning to become noticed, but it's far too early for solutions to be put out. So I think currently, I'm talking Canada, most people are using ChatGPT, and so far there hasn't been any real attempts to like have variability in these answers, at least not from what I've seen. Like from my experiment I mentioned in my essay, like or my speech, there wasn't any difference. So technologically, I don't think so. However, I believe in schools, like from teachers advice to students, they want like differences in ideas because obviously if you have the same ideas, then they're going to think you're cheating or they're going to think that there's something fishy going on. So I think like especially teachers, they have been telling you, get ideas or get inspiration from ChatGPT. Make sure you're not using it completely. So to answer your question, I still think it's too early for solutions to really come out. I'm sorry I couldn't really answer this question because yeah, I don't think it's late enough for solutions to come out yet. I think it's still too early. I believe awareness for these problems has just started, but I believe in the future there may be solutions, or there just may be more awareness for this danger or risk of standardization. And like how I answered the last question, there will be advice given to everyone to go into using AI with the mindset of staying safe and making sure that you yourself are not getting controlled by AI, but you instead are controlling AI to help you. I hope that answers the question.
I think so. Maybe there'll be a little flag that says 100% convergence towards the sushi restaurant logo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, George. And George mentioned something really important. It is possible to scan work handed in a text to determine if it was human or if it's coming from, say, ChatGPT or some other generative AI source.